Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes joins us to discuss the recent cyber attack that breached his office's website. Also tonight, we'll hear about Mayo Clinic Arizona's new lung transplant program and a closer look at an FDA decision regarding the selling of e-cigarettes by Juul Labs. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Gallardo wants County Recorder Justin Heap investigated for public corruption. Gallardo cites an email obtained by the news site VoteBeat in which Heap, seen here, claims that Gallardo agreed to divide up election duties, but only after Heap's, quote, back-channeling and arm-twisting bought Gallardo's support. Gallardo claims, he denies the claim, I should say. He calls it a lie, and he is suggesting that Heap, quote, better keep my name out of his lying mouth. Gallardo also called on the Attorney General to investigate. The Dragon Bravo fire north of the Grand Canyon is now the largest active wildfire in the U.S. The fire has burned more than 105,000 acres and is only 9% contained as high winds and low humidity continue to fuel the flames. More than 1,100 firefighting personnel are on the ground working the fire, which is now the 10th largest in Arizona history. National news: President Trump's trade deal deadline is tomorrow. The president gave dozens of countries until tomorrow to come up with new trade agreements or face tariffs of up to 50%. Now, Mexico will not be subject to higher tariffs tomorrow. President Trump today announced a 90-day extension for Mexico in order for the two countries to keep talking about a potential trade deal. The extension leaves current 25% tariffs in place with America's largest trading partner. But there's still no deal with Canada, the country's second largest trading partner. Indeed, President Trump said that it would be, quote, very unlikely that a deal could be reached after Canada's prime minister said that he planned to support Palestinian statehood. And a federal appeals court today heard arguments in a case alleging that the president has overstepped his authority in imposing tariffs. A coalition of small businesses and states claim that the president is misusing an emergency economic law to enact tariffs. Now, the ruling could reshape the president's trade strategy, but it could take months for a court decision, and even then, an appeal would likely end up in the Supreme Court. An informational website hosted by the Arizona Secretary of State's office was recently defaced by hackers with apparent ties to Iran. The attacks raised questions as to what was targeted, how much was infiltrated, and what's being done to keep it from happening again. Joining us now is Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
All right, so what happened? June 23rd. What happened on June 23rd to the Secretary of State website?
Well, on June 23rd, we detected what appeared to be an infiltration into one of our systems that was originally built many, many, many years ago for access, but it didn't have security really in mind. And so a malicious package of software was placed in, and we detected it, we sequestered it, but it worked its way through a little bit to defacing the candidate page that shows results, you know, the one with the blue and red lines.
Right.
So the picture of the Ayatollah popped up over everybody's face that had been running for office since like 2016. Now we did, as I said, we detected it, we stopped all of that stuff from happening. We ended up recovering the server, and then we've been going through an investigation on that to make sure that nothing else was impacted. But I want to make sure that you and your viewers know really well, this was not the voter registration system with that personal identifying information. That is actually housed in the cloud. It's not an on-site server. It didn't hit the address confidentiality program, which houses information on some victims of violence and stalking that we keep their addresses confidential. So nowhere where there was any significant amount of personal identifying information was attacked.
But what about election results, that part of the system?
So the elections results page, the one that we display that stuff on, was impacted, but the election result segment where that stuff gets uploaded was not. And we didn't have an active election at the time, so we're in pretty good shape when it comes to that.
Any other systems, any other data accessed?
No other systems or data were accessed. We are ongoing with our investigation. We're narrowing it down right now, so it doesn't look right now like it was anything else. The big problem that we have is with these old legacy systems, Ted, that were, you know, written in languages that almost no engineers know how to use anymore. When we go in and try to fix one of these systems, we're going to break something, and that's why for a long time, people have shied away from it because we've got to basically replace the entire system. We can't fix it. And as a matter of fact, the ones that we did fix ended up breaking or really significantly slowing down the activity that goes on there. So these legacy systems have to be replaced. We can't just go in and fix them because many of the software companies that used to support them don't even exist anymore. And so there's those sorts of issues that we have to deal with.
If the legacy systems can be hacked and if they are that vulnerable, does that mean other aspects of the Secretary of State's website, other access of data ranging all across the board, is that by its nature more vulnerable?
Absolutely. There's no question that we have vulnerabilities still. And this is why, since I got elected, we've been asking for money to shore up these systems. We came in January of 23 and we made some adjustments in the IT department. My experience in the past told me that this was something we had to pay attention to. Lo and behold, we discovered this. And so not only did we make some shifts, but we asked for specific money to shore up this system back in 23. We asked for money for this system in 24. We asked for it also for 25. None of those requests by all the folks doing the budgeting stuff were granted. And so, you know, we've asked for over $17 million over those 3 cycles to get these specific systems upgraded, and that's been denied. So unfortunately, we are where we are now. And so now folks are paying attention, and now we're starting to really work with some alacrity to try to shore up these systems.
And you want these things shored up and you want them updated, but now they need to be fixed. Do you have the funds to fix them?
Well, not even really fixed. Like I said earlier, we fixed some of these old things. Something else is going to break. And that's one of the reasons why we need to replace them. And so our team has been looking very carefully at this. If we're going to do what we need to do, we need $10 million right now, and then we need $3.5 million ongoing. And here's why. Government used to buy computer systems, and you'd have your server, you'd set it up, you'd have your other systems, and that would last you for a couple years with minor updates. That's not the model anymore, and it hasn't been for a long time. You buy systems that are going to be leased, that are going to be upgraded constantly. You don't put a bunch of money up front. You continuously pay as you move forward. And so we've got to move from that old procurement model into the new procurement model, but we still have to replace a whole bunch of the underlying architecture, and that's going to take some money.
Back to the hack here. Who did you contact after this was discovered?
Well, first and foremost, we contacted the Arizona Department of Homeland Security, the Chief Information Security Officer, Arizona's CISO. Ryan Murray is a phenomenal guy. We've got him on speed dial. We work directly with the National Guard. They're a phenomenal partner that has helped us. And we were actually undergoing some active penetration testing at the time. So we had our contractor right there on site. And we kind of locked this down very quickly, much like the CrowdStrike issue that happened many, many months ago. That was a global problem. Mm-hmm. Our department, the Department of State, was the first one in Arizona to identify that issue. We were up and running by 11 o'clock the next morning, whereas a lot of other folks were a little slower on the uptake. So we've got a great team, and they do amazing work with the resources that they have. But again, we still have these old issues that we have to deal with.
Did law enforcement agencies, when you contacted them, did they tell you what happened? Did they have an idea of what happened? Did they give you advice as to what to do next?
Well, the agencies worked with us to discover that. I've got an amazing team that we've built very, very carefully over the last several years because we understood we couldn't get replacements on the system because the money wasn't coming in. So we got people to help build sort of this donut around those weak systems in the middle. But if you get to the inside of that donut, it's kind of open, and that's problematic. So we dealt with the folks that we needed to. I wish we had better partners at the federal level at this time, where we used to be able to depend on them. We can't anymore. We can't even talk to many of them because of the way the new administration is operating. And so we've got to make do with what we've got here in Arizona.
How are they operating so that they won't even speak to you? What's going on there?
Well, after January of 2025, the cybersecurity infrastructure security agency, right, CISA, stopped talking to us. They got rid of their physical security agent that was here in Arizona, the cybersecurity agent that was here in Arizona. They helped us train and do all the stuff that we did to prepare for 2024. That's why it went so well. They don't exist anymore. And I've written letters to Secretary Noem, to the White House, to our congressional delegation, and I've said, look, I don't care if you're reorganizing. It's your prerogative as a new administration. Put this over there, put that over there. But that rearrangement of the deck chairs at this stage, means that they took all the deck chairs off the deck. We don't have any of the support services that CISA and the Department of Homeland Security used to provide for us, and we can't talk to them. The new administration will not support election security anymore, and that's really problematic, and one of the reasons why this issue, I think, is really scary.
Did other states experience something similar? And if so, is the administration, is the federal government, are they noticing this and maybe changing their tune?
Well, they're not changing their tune, and other states are impacted by this. Thank God other states haven't been hacked the way we have that we're aware of. But that agency also used to help us share information among one another. So if something happened in state A, state B would find out about it right away through those federal channels that don't exist anymore.
Right.
And they could fix it before it happened, or that system could have looked at. And so we're really fighting with one hand tied behind our back right now as it pertains to our foreign adversaries. And that's because this administration just has, whether they say so or not, they've abandoned election security. And we're really trying to get them to change their tune.
Last question. What was learned from this hack, and where do you go from here? What changes because of this incident?
Well, we've got a lot of open ears. There's a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle now who have understood that this isn't something you can politicize. We've got to make sure that all of our systems are secure, because it pertains to not just elections or our elections results page. We're talking about all of the state systems, the healthcare systems, unemployment systems, all of that stuff that takes care of our taxation. We've got old legacy systems across the state, and so we really need to pay close attention to what it is that's weak, how we can shore it up immediately, and actually invest in the future of the security of our information systems, which is something that I've been advocating for years. Now we've got people's attention. Sadly, it had to come at the behest of, we think, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
And as you mentioned, the investigation continues as to what happened here. You're still looking at this.
We are still looking, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll be able to have a full picture of exactly what happened and how well we did in taking care of it, which I think is pretty good so far.
Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It is smelling good out there.
It's time to set that table.
Hope y'all ready. All right, get you a piece of that.
How is it?
Oh my God, it's delicious. This is heaven.
This week, we're bringing in one more judge. Please welcome Al Roker.
I am so looking forward to taste these dishes.
I want to compose myself so I can cook.
Friday night at 8 on Arizona PBS. Saturday night at 11:30 on Arizona PBS.
Mayo Clinic Arizona recently announced a new lung transplant program. The goal is to help patients battling end-stage lung disease and in need of a transplant to survive. And to learn more, we welcome Dr. Jonathan Takuna. He's the surgical director of Mayo's lung transplant program. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
You betcha. All right, so this is a new program, correct?
Yes.
Okay, how new?
Well, we just opened the program last year for evaluating patients, and we did our first transplant on May 30th.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that first transplant here in a second, but this targets, as I mentioned, did I get that right, critically ill patients? I mean, these folks, it's lung transplant or bust, true?
Yes, absolutely. It's patients with specific lung disease where they have no hope, and transplant's the only option. All medical therapies have failed.
Yeah, end-stage lung disease, that means it's just not going. It's just not going to turn around. There's nothing else left.
Correct, and there's a number of indications for lung transplant, such as COPD, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, other things, pulmonary hypertension, some genetic diseases too.
We hear a lot about COPD. What is that?
COPD is an end-stage form of lung disease where the sacs of the air in the lung are actually destroyed, and you can't exchange oxygen anymore, and you're running out of options.
Yeah, and so here we go with the lung transplant idea. This involves a multidisciplinary team, correct?
Huge team, and it all involves everyone it really touches all parts of the institution, much like anything in transplant.
And it's research-driven?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about how different teams would work together on something like this.
Well, it starts with the evaluation of the patient to become a candidate. Because donor lungs are in scarce supply, as many donor organs, we want to make sure we're picking the right recipient. And so during the evaluation piece, they meet all people from across our disciplines: infectious disease, pulmonologists, surgeons, social workers, cardiologists, all those folks, and other consultative parts of the practice as needed.
Sounds like all hands on deck, in other words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so ramping up to the program being, then we get in this first patient, I'm going to get to him, I swear I am. Ramping up to this, was there an advancement? Was there like an aha moment where, all right, we're doing this?
I think it was 6 years ago when I got here. So I was actually walking on the Mayo Clinic campus as I was thinking about the future on that campus, walking around looking at the potential for the innovation that goes on. And that I looked up in the sky, it was January. I'm from the Midwest,
yes.
The weather was perfect, and I said, this is the place.
Yeah, well, this is the place. Okay, so the place gets this first transplant patient. This was, I think he had surgery May 30th, as you mentioned. Talk to us about him, his condition, and how it turned out.
Yeah, he's a 67-year-old patient with COPD, running out of options. He had COPD diagnosed about 7 years previous, but like many patients with the disease, they decline, and it becomes it affects their daily lives, so much so that they have to choose between talking and breathing. Wow. Even it's that significant. And he was a great candidate for transplantation when he went through an extensive process, and then some donor lungs became available for him.
Yeah, he was a great candidate because
there's a lot of components that go into it. He really just had lung disease as his main thing. His heart was good, his other organ systems were good, and also there's a lot of other things that go into picking a appropriate recipient, including family support,
yes.
The support around him, because it does take a village with these patients.
Yeah, it apparently takes a gong too, because we just saw him hitting the gong here. Sounds like everything went pretty well, huh?
Everything went great, and he couldn't have, I have this philosophy with lung transplant and many other transplants called N+1. So when you find a recipient, and you want that recipient who's always going to do the extra step. With Craig, our first recipient, it was when I asked him to walk 3 times after surgery, he was walking 4.
There you go.
And that gets you, that's what you need to be successful with such a complex operation.
How's he doing now?
He's doing great. He just celebrated his 2-month anniversary. He has no rejection. He's really has a new lease on life, and his lung function is outstanding. It's about 102% of predicted for his size and his age.
Wow,
right?
and he can get around and do pretty much what he wants to do, I would imagine.
He does, not using oxygen at all. Now the trade-off for that is you see doctors, you take some medicines to keep your immune system from fighting off the transplant.
Yes.
But he is, the way he approaches things, and I talk to him and his wife quite frequently, they just have a whole new outlook on life, and that's the hope that transplant provides for patients.
Yeah, that is great to hear. Last question here. This type of transplant, lung transplant, can the techniques, the multidisciplinary approach, all these things, can they be applied to different organ transplants?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, our transplant center is one of the busiest in the country, if not the world, and that's the infrastructure you need, and that multidisciplinary approach is standard across all organs.
How many patients do you think will we expect to benefit from this, from the lung transplant in particular?
Yeah, we're targeting right now in a range of 30 patients a year to get transplanted, because those are the patients that we see on an annual basis that we would like to be able to offer this as an option for them.
Well, it sounds very encouraging, and congratulations on your success and your patient's success, and we'll keep an eye on it because it sounds like it's a good story. Good to have you here.
Thanks, appreciate the opportunity.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump extends the deadline for a tariff deal with Mexico by another 90 days. That's at 6 on Arizona PBS.
The FDA recently approved the continued selling of e-cigarettes by Juul Labs after the company met the legal standards for marketing new tobacco products. For more on this, we're joined by a local pediatrician, Dr. Gary Kirklis. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about e-cigarettes. First of all, what are they?
So back in 2015, Juul actually came out with e-cigarettes. So the idea was if you wanted to have aerosolized nicotine, you could use that through an electronic cigarette. Prior to that, people, if they wanted to quit traditional cigarettes, they'd have to use a nicotine gum or a patch.
So, but how does it work? I mean, I've never done this kind of thing, you know, as far as an e-cigarette is concerned.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks. But, I mean, how does it work?
So what happens is they have a little container that has things like propylene glycol, glycerin, flavorings, and then liquid nicotine. Then it has a heating coil that basically aerosolized all these chemicals so that you can inhale aerosolized nicotine without having the burnt tobacco leaves.
So you've got the nicotine, but you don't have tobacco.
Correct.
Does that mean it's addictive?
Very much so. So you still have the same addictive properties of nicotine that is in a traditional cigarette as would be in the liquid aerosolized nicotine.
I mean, it's slightly less though, isn't it? I mean, isn't that the deal?
No, so in an average cartridge, you have enough nicotine that would be equivalent to a pack of cigarettes. So you have one cartridge equaling one pack of cigarettes. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right, and Juul Labs, they were investigated, I think, by the FDA for marketing. They were kind of marketing cartoon figures and that sort of thing, correct?
Yeah, so when they came out, they said this would be a great way for people who are using traditional cigarettes to get off of them. And so, but what happened in 2015 is you look at all the marketing that they did, and it was definitely targeting young adults. So all the models that they used in their advertisements were 21, 22-year-olds, not people who have ever possibly used tobacco again.
Yes.
So they're essentially creating new customers.
Right.
And so, yeah, they had a big social media presence as well.
Has that changed?
Yes. So they had to pull all those ads, and they actually paid like $1.9 billion in settlement fees.
Wow.
Due to their targeting of youth.
Yeah, holy smokes. Yeah, that's obviously something's wrong there. Okay,
Yes.
So now the FDA's basically said, okay, you're doing well as far as a tobacco product is concerned. What did the FDA really say here?
So the decision was, is there a net benefit? Are the amount of adults who are using traditional cigarettes, having Juul available to them, is that producing enough of a public health benefit to oversee all the youth who are using electronic cigarettes? And as a pediatrician, we are doing a great job getting kids off of traditional cigarettes, but they are definitely using electronic cigarettes.
I think the FDA said that Juul was appropriate now for the protection of public health. These e-cigarettes were appropriate for the protection of public health. How do e-cigarettes protect public health?
Well, the idea would be is that we have a large contingent of Americans smoking traditional cigarettes, and if we have Juul available to them, they would be able to get off of those and use electronic cigarettes.
And I would imagine Juul would also say it's important to have a regulated, kind of consistent market so that stuff is there so people don't go back to cigarettes because they can't either find it or use it correctly.
Correct.
And that's what the FDA is saying.
Yeah, so their thought was there's a net benefit. They perfectly know that youth are getting their hands on this.
What do you think of that idea?
You know, Juul has a history from their marketing tactics and their social media presence that they went after youth. And so I'm kind of holding my breath here to see whether they're going to be genuine and they're not going to go after youth again.
Because it sounds to me, I think you referred to this, that cigarette smoking among kids, it seems like it's down, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
E-cigarette use, is that down among teenagers?
Fortunately, it is trending down. Although, when we look at the studies, the 12th graders, 35% of them were using electronic cigarettes back in 2010. 2020, now we're going back down. Down to like 21%. So it's going down, but still 21% of high schoolers are using this. So
the impact of this decision, do you think, on those declining rates? Will there be an impact?
I fear there will be. There's more product available, and Juul's a very large corporation. They have a big impact.
All right. From where you sit, are e-cigarettes safe?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not. While it's true that a traditional cigarette is going to have tar and carbon monoxide because it's combustible, electronic cigarettes aren't safe. They might be used, the term safer could be applied, but they are not safe. When you aerosolize propylene glycol and glycerin and nicotine, some of those things form volatile organic compounds, which are carcinogenic. Additionally, the heating spring, which aerosolizes everything, is made of metal, and we get things like lead and nickel being leached out of them. So they are not safe.
So some of those chemicals do get into the system.
Oh, yes.
Seriously so?
Well, we don't know yet. So in the studies we've done on kids, they will take urine samples on a teenager who, half hour before had used electronic cigarettes, and we can detect in their urine those chemicals. We don't know what the significance of that is yet, but we'll find out.
So with that in mind, do you think there is enough regulation of e-cigarettes?
It's hard to say because you have the balance, right? You have adults getting off of traditional cigarettes, which we want, but we don't know the significance. When you start smoking as a teenager, you're not going to get lung cancer or COPD until you're in your 50s, right? We don't know what's going to happen with vaping.
Last question here. Vaping, e-cigarettes, compare that to the nicotine gum and the other efforts to get off of cigarettes. Better? Worse?
So as a pediatrician, we would always recommend the gum and the patches because you're getting directly nicotine. You're not having those other chemicals you're inhaling. Lungs are not supposed to be inhaling these things. So I would always opt for those modalities.
Yeah, inhaling stuff you're not supposed to inhale is never a really good idea, is it? Dr. Gary Kirkles, again, pediatrician on e-cigarettes and the decision by the FDA on Juul Labs. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.